What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we just have a special unboxing. This is not going to be a super long video, but I finally got in the 4K version of Macross Do You Remember Love. This is one of my favorite franchises in all of anime. I've pretty much been watching Macross / Robotech for literally my entire life. So we're going to take a look at this today. So let's get into it. So let's take a look at this 4K edition. Now, for those who are under the age of probably 30 or 35, you may not have watched the original Macross. For us in the US, we really didn't know what Macross was. We knew Robotech, and I could get into the whole story about Robotech and Macross and the controversy that has ensued because of that, but I'm not gonna do that. But pretty much with this version, the reason why I wanted this version, this is the special limited edition. This was the Amazon special edition. So the reason why I wanted this specific 4K version, because this is a Amazon special limited edition, and I already have the original Blu-ray of Macross Do You Remember Love, but that one did not come with English subtitles. This one does. And I don't know if people in the United States, especially if you're not a big Macross fan, you don't know what that means. We've never really gotten a actual official subtitled version of Macross Do You Remember Love. There's plenty of fan subs online. I'm not gonna go through where to find those and all that, but there's plenty of that. But this is monumental for us in the United States. So let's take a look at this. So of course you've got the cover there, and you've got the new artwork. This has been shown in the last couple of months there. And this one has the 4K Blu-ray and a normal Blu-ray. I'll be interested to see if this one comes with Flashback 2012. I don't think that it does. But in the comments, if you are someone who grew up with Robotech or Macross, tell me in the comments how you came to discover that, because I'm actually gonna give you guys a story once we get done with this DVD. So let me open this real quick and we'll take a look and see what's inside. So let's take a look at this guy. So if you've bought any kind of Japanese Blu-rays, especially within the last, I'd say 10 years or so, you kind of get like this mini like Blu-ray cover while it's in that plastic. So you do get this here. You got beautiful artwork. That artwork looks amazing. I really do like that. And then it says here, the Super Dimension Fortress Macross Do You Remember Love. This is the back. It's got the Zentradi, Max and Miria, and Minmay there. On the top, same thing, the Super Dimension Fortress Macross Do You Remember Love. So let's take a look and see what we've got here. So first, we've got a booklet with all the contents here. So it looks like this is probably just like the Gundam Seed Freedom Blu-ray set that I unboxed, where this is pretty much talking to the cast and crew as far as the production of the film, and maybe has to do with some of the remastering and things of this nature. So that's what you get here. So you get a little booklet there, but it's all in Japanese. But like I said, you can screenshot this stuff and then put it in Google Translate, and you can kind of find out what's actually being said there. So you've got that. Then for the 4K Blu-ray, you got Super Dimension Fortress Macross Do You Remember Love, with the SDF1 there with Minmay. All right, and then you got the back there. And so I'm really, really stoked that I was able to get this. And then of course you've got one of those cards there. Let's see what else we got in here. We've got some advertisements. Looks like Macross Frontier stuff there. You've got stuff for the VF1S and A, so a lot of the Playmax, looks like model kits for Macross. All right, so you've got that. And then for the disc, seems relatively simple, looks like almost like a vinyl style. But this is the 4K version here. This says 4K on it as well, but one of them is just supposed to be the original Blu-ray. So you've got the original Blu-ray, I think, on the right, and then the 4K version on the left. So I have not watched this yet, and I haven't seen Do You Remember Love in probably about a year or two. I do watch it pretty regularly. And then for this flip cover, if you take this out and you flip this around, that is the full new artwork for this release. And so you can do it this way too if you want to. And I may keep it this way, we'll see. But you can kind of slide this in here. And then, boom, just like that. And then you can use that cover as that. And I do like this artwork quite a bit, so. But yeah, so you got that there. So that's what you have for the contents as far as the Blu-ray box. Let's see what else came in this box. So at the bottom of that box, it looks like we got a poster. So let's take a look and see what we've got here. All right. So let's see what poster that we get here. Okay. I think this is the original movie poster for Macross Do You Remember Love. That's awesome. I like that. I may actually get that hung up. So that looks pretty cool. So that's nice. I do like posters. I always like this kind of stuff. Maybe one day when I get a bigger man cave, I'll be able to get all of this stuff in there. But yeah, so that's what you've got there. And actually, let me see if I can try to roll that out a little bit more so you can kind of see the whole thing. So yeah, so that's what you get. So it's a pretty simple release. Now, there is different versions of this release. There was one that had a booklet that had the original, like a copy of the original movie script. And that was interesting. I didn't know that that was available. If I had known that was available, I probably would have got it. But of course, it's in Japanese. But there are multiple versions. The Japanese tend to do a lot of different releases for their stuff, and I can appreciate that. But this one wasn't too bad. I did get this on Amazon Japan. So that's what you have for that. So that's what you get for this 4K Blu-ray edition of Macross Do You Remember Love. So thank you guys for watching the video. Now I'm going to do a second part to this video, but if you were just here to see what actually comes in the Macross box, you can leave now. Now I'm gonna get into some story time. But thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. So now that the main part of this video is over, I just want to give you some history as far as how I even knew about Macross Do You Remember Love. Because during the 80s, we didn't know anything about Macross being its own show. We only knew Robotech in the United States, right? So unless you got some sort of, they had like different books and stuff out at that time, but I never saw them in the place that I lived. And so I didn't really know anything about Macross 7. I didn't know any of that stuff till about 1999 to like 2000. That's when the internet started to become a thing, even though back at that time, it was really just chat rooms and stuff. But at that time, I was in a comic book shop, and they had the Anamigo DVDs of the original Macross, right? That was the first major Macross release that we had that wasn't tied to Robotech, that was English subtitled. So I bought that, and at that time, there was 3 volumes in that set, and every volume, I think I bought them for like $100. I still own them to this day, even though those are actually in storage right now, but I do own those. So, and that was $100 in 2002, 2003 money. So they were quite expensive, especially for someone who, you know, had just started working and stuff like that. You know, $300 for a 30 episode series, you know, that's quite steep. But anyway, so what happened was I would go back to this comic shop pretty regularly, and I saw something that caught my eye, but I didn't know what it was. And to this day, I still own it. And it was this. It was Flashback 2012. Now, this is a bootleg, all right? At that time, I didn't know that it was a bootleg, but in this comic shop, they had this Macross Flashback 2012. I had no idea what it was. I thought maybe it was a sequel. You have to remember, this was before YouTube, before any of that stuff. So we didn't know any of this. So anyway, and I think this was probably about 35 to 40 bucks. It was quite expensive. And especially in 2002, 2003 standards. But anyway, so I took this home and I watched it. Now, of course, this is not, it says English subtitles on there, but the subtitles on there are horrible. It's probably a fan sub. So, so I put it in, and the thing about it was, it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe like a sequel or something like that, because we didn't know what this was. And it was really just like a clip show that had a lot of the music in it. Now, this is really what made me love Macross music, because in Robotech, the music was okay. Like, they really only had one really good song in Robotech, and that was We Will Win. But other than that, most of the music in that show was trash. Now, it wasn't trash by 80s standards, but it's trash definitely by today's standards. But this is where I kind of fell in love with the Macross music. So I went back to that comic shop because they had a soundtrack of Macross Do You Remember Love, and I bought that. And so I just played that on repeat for weeks. But anyways, back to this DVD. So I'm watching it, and I'm seeing clips from the original show, and I'm like, okay, like, this is interesting. But then they had in different animation. And I was like, that looks a lot different than this show looked. And then, like, there was this one part where they show how Roy dies in Macross Do You Remember Love. I don't want to give the spoiler how he dies, for those who haven't watched it, even though the thing is 40 years old. But, you know, some people get upset about stuff like that. But anyway, so I'm looking at it and I said, wait a minute, Roy didn't die like that in the series. What am I missing here, right? So I'm like, where is this animation coming from? It looks way better than the show looked. How is this going? So I ended up going onto the internet back in early 2000s, and back then the internet really was just a bunch of like chat rooms, especially in the late 90s, but like it was chat rooms, and like you had blogs on the internet where it really was just a wall of text. There was like no pictures or anything like that. But anyway, I was able to find something, and they talked about on this blog, and I don't remember the site. I wish I did, but on the site they talked that there was a theatrical movie, and it was called Macross Do You Remember Love, and I was like, what? Like, there was a movie? Like how did I not know this, right? So of course I'm looking high and low. Now, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, you didn't really have all of the resources that we have now, to where now if I want to buy something from Japan, I can just go to Amazon Japan and straight buy it. Or since now that I travel there, I can just go there and buy it when I go there. But at that time, that wasn't a thing that you could do. So for years and years and years and years, I could not find it. I had heard about the movie, but I had never watched it, right? Now, in the mid 2000s, this is when Napster is coming on. Now people are starting to put movies and stuff online. That's how I was able to watch it the first time. And then probably, I want to say maybe like about 4 or 5 years ago, they came out with this version. And so this is the original Blu-ray release of Macross Do You Remember Love. But this one is the one that does not have subtitles. So this was my first opportunity to really buy this at an official version of Macross Do You Remember Love, because of course there were like fan subs and people were selling bootlegs on eBay and all of that kind of stuff, but you know, I really wanted a official version. So this is really cool that I have this collection. I will probably still keep this version, or I may give it away as a giveaway, who knows. But yeah, so that's kind of the history of how I even came to to know what Macross Do You Remember Love was. And then of course I went down the rabbit hole. I found out about Macross 7, Macross 0. I found out about all of that stuff. Really, that came from this one bootleg, which was Flashback 2012. Because if I wasn't in that store and I had never seen it, I wouldn't have known nothing about the movie for probably at least another 5 to 7 years later. So that's just my little story, you know, whether or not anybody cares, you know. You know, it doesn't matter to me, but like, this is something, this was the history of Macross for me, and that's where it really started. And then this is where my disdain for Harmony Gold started from as well, but that's a whole nother video for a different time. But anyway, so for those who are big into Macross, let me know in the comments like how you even came into know the difference between Macross and robotech, especially if you live in the States. Because if you lived in Japan, of course you knew what Macross was, you never heard of robotech. But for us in the US, we didn't know, it was called Robotech, the Macross Saga. We didn't know that Macross was its own thing because that was everybody's favorite part in Robotech anyway. Even though I liked Super Dimension, Calvary, Southern Cross, and Mesopeta, all the kids that I know when I was growing up, we all loved the original Macross Saga more than any of the other 2 parts. So, but anyway, so I think I've done enough rambling, but yes, that's the history of this movie with me. It started almost 25 years ago. But anyway, so that's what we've got for you today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.